This is chapter number 10, New Empires and Kingdoms. We are going to take all the questions which are possible from this discussion. These are the pictures. We are going to come back to these pictures whenever it is required. The first question is, who composed the Prashasti of Chalukya king Pulakeshin II? So, Chalukya, who were Chalukyas and Pallavas? Because these names are going to repeat, they were big empires. And Prashasti means in praise of. If you are praising someone, or Gungan, Tarif, all praise is written in long sentences. So, where there are various kings on which Prashasti have been written, that is how we came to know about them. We know them about for the inscriptions or by their Prashastis. He is Pulakeshin II, and the person who composed it is Ravikriti. Ravikriti, his name is going to come again and again. Ravikriti. Name the place which was the capital of Chalukya. Let me tell you about Chalukyas and Pallavas so that you understand all the scenario. Now, I am coming to the southern region of India right now. This boundary is Chalukyas. This boundary is Chalukya Empire. And the capital is Aihole, A-I-H-O-L-E, Aihole. And this shaded portion is that portion where the governance was being done. Now, coming to Pallav. This yellow boundary is the Pallav Empire boundary. And the center portion which you see is shaded, the Kanchipuram, is the Rajdhani or capital. Harsha also will come again and again. So this is the green boundary showing the area of Harshavardhan's empire. Harshavardhan empires. Coming back to the question, name the place which was the capital of Chalukya rulers. As I just indicated, it's Aihole, A-I-H-O-L-E, Aihole. Among the Gupta rulers, the title of maharajadhiraja was first adopted by Chandragupta. Chandragupta. In this discussion, this chapter, we have talked about Samudragupta. He is the man, Samudragupta. Now, he and his grandfather, in the chapter it is given, Chandragupta is his grandfather. And this Samudragupta, these two, in this chapter it is given, they have attained the title of maharajadhiraja. That means the kings of king, Rajaon ke Raja. Who was the founder of Gupta dynasty? So if you read this chapter, the answer will be different, right? Because it is being said it's Chandragupta I. But we will answer it as Sri Gupta. Why? Because Chandragupta I is the king of India, since this is the time span, and founder of the Gupta Empire. It is okay. But he was the grandson of Sri Gupta. Grandson of Sri Gupta, the first known ruler of the Gupta line. So he was the first ruler of Gupta line, but the founder in the book is given as Chandragupta I. So Chandragupta I, if founder, so you can give Chandragupta I as the founder. But I am just pointing out the name Sri Gupta just because he was the first ruler. But the answer need to be founder is Chandragupta I. I hope you got the idea. You can change this answer. You can say it's Chandragupta I. I'm just saying Sri Gupta was the first ruler on this line. Why most of the rulers of the time took the title of Maharaja and Maharajadhiraja? We say Pujaniya, respectable, most respectable, like all these alankars we give, adjectives we give. Just you want to praise them a lot, like Shri, just in order to show their influence, the strength, the power, the prabhutva, the just want to have or show their powerfulness. That is how influence and strength come, and these names are given. who checked Harsha's march into the Deccan. So what happened? Harshavardhana, he was a very powerful king, and there is a long story behind it. I'll tell you in the next coming question. So what happened? He came down. He has this northern part. He took all these areas, and he was not the eldest son. After the death of his father and his elder son, brother, he became the king of Thanesar. Then because of some brother-in-law issues, he was also killed, brother-in-law. That is how he came down, right? And Pulakeshin II stopped him from coming down, that is to infiltrate the Chalukya area. So what is the name? Pulakeshin II stopped Harsha's Deccan march. Harsha was the ruler of Kanauj. Yes, exactly right. Why? Because this Kanauj was held by his brother-in-law. And this brother-in-law was killed by the Bengal rulers. And then he became the ruler of Kanauj by defeating those Bengals. Name the Kanauj ruler who was credited for performing Ashwamedha sacrifices several times. So who is the Kanauj ruler who was doing a lot of Ashwamedha sacrifices? You know, one thing I have to tell you, that this Ashwamedha sacrifice means a horse is sent, or he is freely allowed to move. Wherever he goes, whosoever stops him, he has to fight with the Ashwamedha Yagya king. Otherwise, he has to accept that, okay, we accept you are a king. But after that, this horse is killed. Bali di jati thi. He was killed. Okay. So this is not being told everywhere. But let me tell you, Ashwamedha sacrifice means killing of this horse, cutting of this horse, if the king is successful in this Ashwamedha sacrifice. That is why it is sacrifice. Right? Bali. So he was Harshavardhana. King Harshavardhana. You don't have to write Harsha. Harshavardhana. Chandragupta II led an expedition to Western India against. So he is Chandragupta II. He led an expedition to Western India against Shakas. Shakas, Chalukyas, Pallavas, all these are regimes at that time. So Shakas was also, a dynasty, but Chandragupta II did it. So if you see the Western India, I am talking about this area. Let me show you in the map so that you remember. So this area we are talking about. Who wrote the biography of King Harshavardhana? Biography means if someone else writes about your life, and when you yourself write about your life, it's autobiography. They said there is a difference between a biography and a autobiography. So who wrote this? Banabhatta. Let me show you the picture of Banabhatta. He is Banabhatta. He was in Harshavardhan court, royal court. He was a very good poet, and he wrote the biography of King Harshavardhana, Banabhatta. Who was Banabhatta? I showed you the picture. He was a poet laureate in Harshavardhana court. Court means Raj Darbar. The Sabha was an assembly of. Now there are inscriptions in the Pallavas. We get a lot of information about Sabhas, like we have today association, trade unions, committees, groups. All these were Sabha only. These are Sabhas only. So the Sabha, this name was given specifically for the Brahmin landowners. So there are 3 Sabhas, I'll tell you later. But Sabha, specifically Sabha is the name of that committee, association. Those who were having land, they were big landowners, Zamindar, Bhuswami, but they were Brahmins also. They were Brahman landowners. That is Sabha. The association is Sabha. How did this Sabha function? So there is a big Sabha. They make subcommittees. That some subcommittee will go to irrigation work, some will look after the agriculture operations, some will take care of the making of roads, and some will look after the local temples, mandir. So if 50 people are there, 10 like this, and they will be assigned different work. Up-samiti, subcommittees. China is known for the invention of the technique of making. Now, I'll give you an answer which you will not be, convinced. But if you see this book, the chapter, yes, that answer is wrong. So, if you write silk, it's correct. There is no flaw. China is known for invention of making silk. You know, silkworm, they make a cocoon, and that cocoon is used as a raw silk to make very shiny, very smooth textured cloth, which is called as silk, resham. But in this chapter, the answer is not silk. You need to give the answer as, first let me tell you, China is a very good country. It's a big country. China has given a lot to the community, to the society, to the world, right? So there is one more thing in this chapter. It's being said paper. Paper, invention of paper. Who did this? Kai Lun. He is Kai Lun. He made this technique of making paper, which is still used. Name the capital of Chalukyas. So let me tell you again. This is Chalukyas. Aihole. Aihole is the capital of Chalukyas. Ravikriti was the court poet of Pulakeshin II. I told you about who, in the second question only. So Ravikriti wrote everything about Pulakeshin II, so it's absolutely correct. He was very good poet also. What is the meaning of term genealogies? Genealogies. Genealogies has come from word genes. Genes means when people reproduce and then the next offsprings come. That is, your children come. So if two people reproduce, who has come? Then though they have reproduced, who has come? So who are the ancestors who have come before you, who have come after you, or who have come after them is the genealogy. That is the list of ancestors and list of successors. Why genealogies is very important in the study of history. Now let me tell you about the history. I'll give an example. Chandragupta. Who was his father? Who was his grandfather? Right? So we know that who was Sri Gupta? All these names I just told you. After the Samudragupta, this Chandragupta, Samudragupta has come. So history is all about dates. History is all about names. So it is important when we study history and discuss the rule of important dynasties, these genealogies becomes very important to learn, right? So this is what, if I took 17th question and I am doing the 18th question, 17th question is a history, right? Harisena Prashasti refers to the exploits of what? Let me show you here. He is Samudragupta and the person standing beside him is Harisena. Harisena. Harisena actually. His name is Harisena. So Harisena Prashasti refers to the exploits of Samudragupta. Samudragupta. Harisena was Mahadandanayak, chief judicial officer, like we have judges today. He was Mahadandanayak. He was also peace and war minister. That is, the one name will come. I'll just speak them. Harisena classifies the campaigns of Samudragupta in his Prashasti. It's absolutely correct. Harisena created everything about Samudragupta. That is how we know about Samudragupta right now. What he used to do, right? So this is absolutely correct. Name an Indian king who was known as musician king. I'll show you here. Now this Samudragupta was having a veena. He was playing veena. Samudragupta, musician king. Name the ruler who established diplomatic relations with China. Now you will be very close to answering this. If you go to Chalukya, Pallavas, you will not be finding them to have, because the distance between them and China is quite a lot. But the empire of Harsha is quite close. So Harshavardhana is the answer. What was Ur? So I told you about Sabha. Do you remember? So now I'll tell you what are the three kind of Sabhas that we came to know with with the evidence of inscriptions. Right? In inscriptions, it is being clearly said in the southern India part, the Sabha were called, what is the Sabha? The name for those Brahmins which were having big lands. Brahmins and having big lands, landowners. Then the second Sabha name is Ur. Landowners were there, but they were not Brahmins. Landowners, not Brahmins. Third one is Nagaram. And this is the Sabha for those who were traders, Vyapari, merchants. Okay, Ur. As I said, is village assembly, but you have to clearly specify that those landowners who were not Brahmins, though that assembly is called as Ur. For whom the title Maharaja is used for in Gupta record. So Sri Gupta, Ghatotkach, these are the names. Name the capital of Gupta dynasty. So it's Patliputra. Here it is. It's Patliputra. Today's Patna, which is the capital of Bihar also today. So this is Gupta dynasty capital, Patliputra or Patna. Possibilities of questions of the chapter. What was the main reason for expansion of internal trade during the Gupta period? Gupta Shasan. So the main reason for internal trade, there are two types of trades between different parts and inside that kingdom. So the peace and order on account of a strong Gupta rule. So in order to have a strong Gupta rule or strong rule, the trade is the main thing, that is from where they get profit. So there were rivers, there were roads which were internal and those were being taxed. And that is how the expansion of internal trade has taken place. Is the Gupta period or Gupta rulers, they encouraged it because they were getting things out of it along with the peace and the order. Both internal and foreign trade flourished during the Gupta period, and that's absolutely correct because we just discussed it. How internal trade was carried on, and as I just suggested, it was through road and rivers. So the important roads and rivers, all the taxes were collected here, and most of the trades, actually they were built properly so that the people or the merchants can go from here and there, like going through caravans, etc. And here they have, like, you know, right now we go to a road and you have to pay toll tax. You are paying tax to the government, income tax, but using the road you have to pay tax. That is the kind of taxation at that time on roads and rivers. Who was the mother of greatest Samudragupta? Greatest Empress Samudragupta, greatest Gupta. The name was Kumara Devi. Her name was Kumara Devi. And I told you Lichavi Gan and son, so she was related to Lichavi Gan. The early Gupta gold and silver coins were based on the coins of the. So on what they were based, that is the question being asked. The early Gupta gold and silver, they were based on what Kushanas have started. If you remember, Kushanas have given gold coins to the traders. What did Fa Xian notice during his visit to India? Fa Xian gave a very good account of what was happening in India at that time. So when he came from China to India and back, he saw the plight or the situation of untouchables. Durdasha, the poor situation of untouchables. There were high and mighty people, that is, who were higher on the caste system. Those people having land, money, etc. And I told you about Vanavavastha, right? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. And below that, there were untouchables, Harijans, the Achuts. Right now, these things have almost finished, but still, at that time, we are talking about This plight of these men and women, Fa Xian noted it and hold an account of this. The place where others would live, the place where untouchables would live, they were ghettoized. They were ghettoized. Like right now, India, you see Muslims colonies and the SC colony, they are always ghettoized. They are not with the mainstream, right? Main colonies, you won't find these people. Still now it is happening. But that time, Fa Xian gave you that idea that a person will bring some ghanti or some noise he will produce, so that the other person will know, oh, the achoots are coming or the untouchables are coming, and we don't need to touch them. We have to be quite well apart from them. Who was Fa Xian? He was a Chinese pilgrim, Tirthyatri. I told you that an Indian Muslim will go to Saudi Arabia, Makkah, Medina. Why he goes? Because it's a very poised place for them, Pavitra Jaga. In Uttarakhand, there are 4 dhams, 4 dham. Kerala person will come, Odisha person will come, Maharashtra person will come. Why? Why they are coming here? Because Gangotri, Yamunotri, all these are here, and this is the place for pilgrimage. So these pilgrims would come. Sarthavaha was the title given to. What is this Sarthavaha? Let me tell you about Sarthavaha. Sarth word has come from Sarthi. Say if you take a taxi and the person who is driving the taxi, you have hired a taxi, that driver is the Sarthi of your car. So that Sarthi, what happens at that time? There were different traders, and the traders would go from place to place and they get profit taking stuff from here and there. Now in between, when they go with big caravans, there were huge caravans, people and stuff. So there were a leader of this caravan, lot of people, lot of stuff, and that is the Sarthavaha. Internal trade was principally carried by the caravans, karwan. Internal trade, it's again absolutely correct. What is Abhijana Shakuntalam? Abhijana Shakuntalam. So here is a vivid description. Abhijana Shakuntalam was, there are 2-3 questions which are related to this. So let me tell you the background so that other questions are easy to answer. This is a play, and it's an iconic cult play. It was written by the great Indian Shakespeare, Kalidas. Now, the story was full of all the emotions. There was a Raja, there was a king called Dushyant. There was a lover, a woman called Shakuntala, forest girl, and this is, I am making a heart, so they were in love. They were in love. Now the king gives Shakuntala a ring. Now Shakuntala loses her ring inside water, and a fish grabs it, swallows it. A fisherman holds that fish, and he takes that ring back to the Raja or king. But the in-between people, they wanted their share and they just misbehaved with this fisherman. And after that, Raja Dushyant give him reward because he has returned that precious ring. So when he comes back, when he is rewarded, the people who have misbehaved with him, they say, okay, you have got the money, let's go and have drink. So this is a story full of emotions, drama, love, and all the suspense. Who was given title Mahadandanayaka? So let me show you a picture. I'll just go to this picture. Samudragupta, besides him, there is a person standing, Harisena. He was Mahadandanayaka. Dand means if somebody does wrong, he will be dandit. Maha means biggest. So he is chief, and Nayak means judging. So chief judicial and chief judicial officer. So Harisena was chief judicial officer. Right now we have judges, Nyadhish. At that time, Harisena was the Mahadandanayaka at Samudragupta's royal court. What was the meaning of Sandhi-vigrahika? Sandhi-vigrahika. Sandhi-vigrahika, let me tell you about the actual answer, that is Minister of War and Peace. At that time, the kings, they actually took so many steps. So a person who is of prime importance, he was given lot of posts, offices. Like Harisena was already Maharaja, he was already Chief Judicial Officer in the court of Samudragupta. Along with this, he was important minister like today we have Rajnath Singh as the Raksha Mantri, and these war and peace today, as I just said, Rajnath Singh, he is a defense minister. Similarly, at that time, Harisena was an important minister of war and peace, and that is called Sandhi-vigrahika. Name a Sandhi-vigrahika in the court of Samudragupta. Now tell me the name. Who is this guy? Harisena. English we add A. Harisena. Actually, it's Harisena. Who is called an Indian Shakespeare. This name is also tongue twister, Shakespeare. So the name is Kalidasa, who wrote so many plays, epics like Abhijana Shakuntalam. Who wrote Abhijana Shakuntalam? I just answered you. This is the most famous play written by Kalidasa about a king and his marriage to a forest girl. Right now also, in this era, we find this as the epic play. We have TV serials on this, we have movies on this, because this play has all the emotion that a human being has inside. So Dushyant Raja, king, and a girl called Shakuntala. It was a beautiful love story between them. How Shakuntala loses something, the fisherman gets it like this. This story goes like this. How many rulers were with Dakshinapat? So there were, let me show you. See, this is the Harshavardhana area. And on the left, if you see the figure, there are certain dots, red dots. So this Dakshinapat means coming to the south. And when somebody comes to the south, that is Dakshin, coming to the path is Pat. So 12 rulers were there. Name the Gupta ruler who captured the 12 kings of Dakshinapat and then liberated them. So I just gave you an idea. Let me just expand it so that I can take you to those dots. So these are the different dots we are talking about. These were small kingdoms, and Harshavardhana, the Gupta ruler. So we are talking about Gupta ruler. So Gupta ruler, who was he? He actually captured them and then liberated them. And they said, okay, if you are willing to accept my adhinta or my kingness, Samudragupta did that. Samudragupta. What is the most important teaching in the Islamic faith? Islam is a very good religion. Very clean, very pavitra. And every religion is saying same thing. Don't do bad thing. Give money to the poor. Help others. Don't say lie. So in 5 pillars of Islam, one is cleanliness. Go to namaz, prayer. 5 times you do prayer. So there's one more thing is there. If somebody is poor, in your salary you have to give 5 to 10% or whatever you have capability, you have to give the money to the poor. You have to help them. So these are important teaching of Islamic faith. People have different apprehensions about all these. They are name calling these Islamic people that, but I don't find it. Every religion is good religion. People are bad and good. Religion is always good. It's a very good religion. So it's talk about equality and unity of all before Allah. There is no Varna Vyavastha here. There is everyone stands together in line and pray. Everyone is together. Like if you see Sardars, Punjabi Sardars, if a Sardar can do anything for their Sardar. They can just die for anyone. So if a man is, they have langars. Anyone can go and eat in Sardars. They have no restriction that a Muslim cannot come or a Hindu cannot come. If Sardar is standing, a girl can go and the Sardar will save that girl from other people. This is a Muslim or a Muslim. He will never tell a lie, right? So these are important teachings of different religions. One is the equality and unity. There is one supreme God. The rulers who were compared to gods belong to, if you remember, Harisena in Prashasti and in other also, the Jeevnis or autobiography, people have written that they are like God. So I'm talking about Gupta dynasty. For Samudragupta, Harisena has said that he is like a god. He is a big warrior. He won so many wars. He is a vocalist. He is a veena vadak. He is a musician. He is a good person. He is like God. What do you mean by Prashasti? Prashasti. Prashasti shabd has come from Prashansa. Prashansa means in praise of. So as I said, Harisena, he wrote Prashansa, Prashasti, long sentences in praise of Samudragupta. That is what we get at Ashok's thumb. I told you that there are inscriptions, Prashastya. So these Prashasti is simply meaning in praise of. Actually, it's a Sanskrit word that means in praise of, in Gungan, in Ajaz. The Prashasti usually provide us information on the genealogy of the kings mentioned in them. So the Prashastis, they tell us whatever has been written. That is how we know about the people and who is their father, who is their father, who is his son, who is his son. So there is a whole chain of you can say chronology of different people or different kings which have come. What was the number of different kinds of rulers described by the Harisena in his Prashasti? So I am just giving you the answer, and I'm going to discuss it first. There are 4 different color regions here. Different color region here. Okay. The kings have different policies for different people. So what are the policies that actually defines this answer? First is this green area. All those they were called as Aryavrat, and they were defeated by these rulers. These are Dakshinapat, red dots. They were captured and left. Okay, you can govern. They were Adhin, right? This pinkish area like Nepal, Assam, all these shakas, they would bring gift to the rulers at that time, right? Upahar. And finally the outside, these are, you can say, outside state, these ilakas, this light navy blue, you can say, or light navy blue. So that color, these people or these rulers, they would marry their girls with the kings here, because they just wanted a family or relative relationship. So they would give their girls to them. They will get their women married to them. So 4 things I told you: Aryavrata, rulers, this green part, okay, green part, rulers of Dakshinapat, these dots, red dots, rulers of inner circle of neighboring states, these neighboring state, pinkish color, okay. So these were all coming with gifts, bringing gifts. They were just showing, you can say, a togetherness. And finally, in the outlying area, I'm not very good with colors, so I don't know this color. It is light blue, I guess. So this is rulers of outlying areas. Name the number of different kind of rulers described by Harisena and his Prashasti. Now you can answer. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, Aryavrata, Dakshinapata, inner circle, outer circle. 4. The answer is 4. Who gave a beautiful description of the king's moving army? Who did that? Now at that time, the king would come. When the king will come or an emperor will come, there will be so many people with him. Sainik, soldiers. There were horses, there were elephants. They were happy. People would come. They will do other sarkar. They will respect them, dance, whatever things were happening. But the thing is, when they leave, the villages becomes dust because of the horses and the elephants. So who gave an account of, a very beautiful account of this? The answer is Banabhatta. Banabhatta gave this account. Let me write it. Banabhatta. Where is Sindh located at present? Sindh is a province in Pakistan, this area. Right, we have Uttar Pradesh, we have Kerala, all these states are there. Similarly, Pakistan has Sindh as one of the state. Pakistan. The answer is Pakistan. Name an Indian astronomer and mathematician of the 5th century AD. Who is he? Now let me show you. Who is he? Aryabhatta. He was not only a great mathematician, he was a great mathematician and an astronomer at that time. So we have great genius in our country. So he gave an idea of pi. How to find out the circumference of a circle, area of a circle, because pi is all which is needed. And he said that the earth rotates on its axis. That is how day and night comes. So all things which we know by now, it was being told, 1,000 years back. And those are valid today itself. Now we are done with the question. These are 2 questions. I would encourage you to answer one of them just to check yourself that you have actually understood the whole chapter, whole questions you have understood, and you can take one of the questions, or if you can take both of these, then also it's welcome. So I'll wait for it. This is all about this chapter. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.